No, I know that I'm just pulling it.
So
Okay,
good to
we are
see all
live in.
the Mysore gang. I'm sorry, Mansi, to intervene like this, but go. But
No,
I was
very,
very
very happy to have you, sir. That is why I sent a special invitation because you have a gang here. And we
yes.
are live now. So we will start in less than a minute as planned 5:05. So please
Okay.
be ready here with me and we go on record as well. Warm greetings, everyone. On behalf of W4W Foundation, a think tank instituted as Citizens Collective, we welcome you to another session of Wednesdays for Water. The conversation today is on resource rethinking Mysuru water future, a collaborative design approach. Before we get into the session, I must share with you what Wednesdays for Water is doing all these days. The objective of Wednesdays for Water is to engage in conversation with water experts, grassroots practitioners, policymakers, educators, and youth to explore the complex intertwined issues associated with water and the possible solutions they are working on or seeking for. With the success of W4W, we have actually had to expand since last 3 years. Now we are also doing Friday Waters, which has 4 sessions: Thesis Club, Reading Club, Water Arts, and Water Talkies. Besides, we recently closed our Monday Munching and Musing with Women for Water, bringing us over 450 sessions. And today, again, we have a special session because we actually complete 200 sessions for Wednesdays for Water alone out of the 450. At W4W Foundation, we strongly believe water conversation is the only way towards water conservation. And mind you, we are just not doing online conversations. They are equally complemented with on-site water workshops, water walks and talks, seminars, special courses, conference panels, just to name a few. So getting into today's session, I will introduce the speakers and we have a wonderful set of people and they will actually do the introductory remarks of the session as well. And I will not talk about the introduction of the session today as usual. So I will first invite Faizan Sharif, who is a Bachelor of Architecture graduate and alumni of Mysuru School of Architecture. He was awarded the Academic Excellence in BIAC at Mysore. At the school, he gained professional experience through an internship with architect Hafiz Contractor and subsequently works with Space Architects. A native of Mysuru, alongside his architectural pursuit, he has been associated with Water Forum Mysuru, reflecting his interest in environment and sustainability. Faizan, as I said, the onus is on you today to introduce the session and also then I'll take over to introduce our rest of the speakers today. We have with us Dr. Champa HS, Hananil Sandhi and Shrikant KS, and I will introduce them once I hear from you. Over to you, Faizan.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Okay, before we begin, imagine someone walks up to you and tells you that sun isn't real. It's not natural, but it's man-made object that emits light. It's hard to believe, right? I had a similar kind of a reaction when I got to know that one of the most popular lakes in the city that I reside in isn't real, but it's actually man-made. Yeah. So this is my story of how I got introduced to water and water systems of Mysore. To begin with, let me give you a basic idea about the geography of the city. If I am allowed to exaggerate, Mysore is basically like a ridge. When I say a ridge, the northern part of Mysore and the southern part of Mysore is basically flowing towards it slopes down towards valleys, right? So this has a very unique geography where whatever water we receive in Mysore, it naturally drains away into the valleys. So, like I said, in this case, whatever water that we are getting, it's basically flowing away. So, how does a lake, which is close to a ridge, have its water that is coming into it, right? So, how is it possible? Let me share a glimpse of my journey of understanding how water and water systems of Mysore work. So during my fourth year of architecture, as part of our urban design studio, me and my batchmates were involved in researching and documenting about the ecological blues and greens of the city of Mysore. During this, we uncovered a lot of facts that were very new to us. So imagine back in the time when there used to be no piped water lines or pumping systems. The main source of water, apart from wells, would either be rainwater that would be collected in lakes or in form of flowing rivers. But our city has comparatively less sources of water to cater to its growth, right? So, in order to tackle this, a system of canals, nalas, also known as Rajakalves, were developed. So these canals carried water from long distances, which followed contour, a natural contour of the land, and this water was brought into the city. Additionally, uh, a network of interconnected tanks or lakes, if may call, were created to store this water, which eventually was used for the purpose of urban use as well as cultivation in various parts of the city. So today, with advancements in technology, we depend on piped water for our urban water usage, and slowly we have been, having less usage of these water bodies, which once upon a time were very crucial. So now we see them disappearing from the map, slowly but surely. Being associated with Water Forum Mysuru for about 3+ years now has also given a citizen like me so much clarity about water and water systems and how they play a crucial role in ecology of a city. So before I further move ahead with questions, I would like uh, other people on the panel to also be introduced. So I
Yes.
give away the mic to you.
Thank you so much, Faizan. And it's really so elated to hear young people talking about it. I remember even 30 years ago, and because our professor is also here, Rameshwar sir, when I was working on lakes. So I'm really looking forward to a very good conversation today. And Rameshwar sir, you are always welcome to jump in whenever you feel like, because you are guru here today. Let me just introduce our next two speakers. We have Dr. Champa HS, who is an architect, urban designer, academician, and environmental advocate with over 2 decades of experience in architectural practice and education. She currently serves as the director and dean of the Mysuru School of Architecture, where she works at the intersection of design, planning, and pedagogy to foster climate responsive and socially inclusive built environment. Her academic journey includes roles at several universities and institutes, and she's based out of Mysuru and leading an independent architectural practice as well, working across diverse projects with strong regional and ecological diversity. She holds a PhD, and her research focus is on climate responsive architecture, heritage conservation, and evolving design education. Architect S. Hanil is an educator, researcher, and heritage enthusiast currently serving as assistant professor at the Mysore School of Architecture. He holds a bachelor's in architecture from Ranganathan School and affiliated with Anna University, and master's degree in advanced architecture from Karpagam Academy of Higher Education, Coimbatore. His research focuses on natural ventilation and climate responsive design. With experience in both professional practice and academia, he has worked on several projects bringing industry insights into architectural education. His areas of expertise and interest includes sustainable architecture, building services, electrical systems in buildings, construction projects, building construction, climate responsive design, and he's passionate about actually students connecting technical knowledge with practical application. I'll keep it short here for both of you, and I invite again Faizan to pose questions on behalf of all the citizens of Mysore and people who are interested about water education. I must also remind all of you today that today is a session as part of education series, because in Wednesdays for Water we run different series, and we want to focus today on the pedagogy of the whole idea which the Mysore School ran for protecting and conserving or managing Purnia Nala and other water bodies of Mysore, where Institute of Urban Designers of India is also involved. So we will talk about it more. But Faizan, over to you, and maybe you steer the whole conversation around the focus of how the whole project ran to make people aware about it and where is it sitting there. And it was a wonderful, I will say, competition. One of our fellows, your ex-student, also is part of the winning team. So I'm really looking forward. Over to you, Faizan.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. Dr. Champa, ma'am, you have been a part of the journey, that I mentioned earlier, with me since the beginning. So, in fact, you literally walked along with us to trace the lost and document the existing water systems of Mysuru. But, ma'am, firstly, as a topic for an urban design studio, typically one that is very challenging and not so very popular. What made you introduce this to us? And also, if I may add to this, if you could share your thought process of carrying it out further as a competition.
Yeah, thank you so much, Faizan. I think I need to really reflect upon what we went through as a journey in these last 3 years. Yes, as you rightly put it, it was an urban design studio. We like challenges, at least, because normally over the years, sort of my concentration has been rural study on one side, and the other side, it is urban studios. Though the scales are different, but somehow we've been looking at the heritage aspects or the planning aspects of a hill station and things like that. So we had never really looked at the water as a system or the layers which make a settlement. I think that is where we started sort of looking into it. So now literally tracing the contours of the earth, mapping the forgotten lifelines of Mysuru. I think we being Mysoreans, and we are so closely associated with all our lakes, and I think that is where the journey began, or the thought process began, you could say it. So now when we started exploring, I mean, I would also need to commend the co-faculty who were there. When this particular idea sprang up, they were very open about the ideas and sort of involved. I think that is the beauty of a teamwork. It could be a leader, it could be an initiator, but it is not just that, it is the journey which matters. I also would like to compliment your batch, that is 2019 batch. When we took up this particular urban studio of looking at the ecological blues and greens of Mysuru, though none of you know what we were talking about. But I also would like to share with everybody, we did almost a month of our own homework. That means the faculty, whoever was involved. We used to sit in the library, take out all the books, many things we did not have the books. So then, we looked into the websites and things like that. So almost literally every day we would be sitting 6, 7 of us. This was the beauty and the learning. And, sort of like as practitioners or educators, we get caught up in the conventional vocabulary of this discipline. So like the same old zoning, standard mobility corridors, high density development. So I think these are things. But since we are in Mysore, and also Mysore is capital, or it's called as limnological capital of Karnataka. Okay, not India, but rather Karnataka. So that means it had, as Faizan explained, abundance of rich, natural and man-made freshwater ecosystems located directly within and bordering metropolitan limits, which I had also looked at this during my PhD. So sort of like, that thoughts or certain dreams always stays with you. So this is where it was introduced, 5.5 months of beautiful journey. I think almost about 65 students and 6 faculty and so many more experts coming in for reviews and for webinars and things like that. We really cycled around, not just going in on four-wheeler, exploring all this thing, because we had decided, since GIS is part of our BIAC at our college, we make it a point that everybody has to learn it. So another aspect became much easier, but we did extensive field survey. So we used to go on two-wheeler, four-wheeler, and I used to cycle around whenever the students came and told me, ma'am, we did not understand, we did not this thing. But which also helped us is there was another scientific or technical report from EMPRI, which our study was based on. So certain background or the work was already there. So it became very easy for us to take it forward. I think, and also you asked me why the competition. Even as part of the studio, we did extensive work, and then we put it up as a stakeholders, we wanted their opinions also. We just didn't wanted the studio exercise, because we also started realizing the students were exploring the landscape of Mysore, which otherwise they did not know. Like, yeah, the canal is running right next door. We were never aware of it. I think what we do at the end was not important. Exploring these kind of things, the students understanding. Imagine 65 students getting to know a layer of information where architecture is part and parcel. I think that was the beauty of it. Yes, there were a lot of things. As I said, fieldwork was what we were looking at. And the stakeholders, where the students presented this particular work, almost about 50-60 people from all part of society came in, including the officials. That was another dialogue. And we did put the proposal out to the officials if they could, take it forward. Yeah, that we are still hoping. We have not stopped that particular work. I think congratulations to all my faculty. Just to name, because I want to just thank them: Vivina, Balaji, Rohit, Hananil, Gagana, Sharath. So these were the ones who were there in the journey along with me, and Faizan was one of our thing. So they really worked on it day night. They will tell, ma'am, this is the only semester where we really worked hard. And even if you get to see the reflexes of, like, we had to draw everything on the butter sheet before we even translated everything into, the software and things like that. So then all of us were lying down on the floor, huge butter sheets. Imagine, like, the entire Mysore had to be drawn with the entire canal system, all the, what do you call it? Tertiary to primary to everything. So they had to color code it and things like that. So lots of fill in the blanks also happened in the thing. And I think all these reviews which were conducted as part of it gave it so much more knowledge to the student and to faculty also, because it came as a different perspective. I think that's where I would like to end my, that was like my dream come true kind of a thing. And it's still not over. We are still taking it forward.
Yes, indeed. Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am. It just took me back in time when, like you said, we were once were lying on the floor, drawing on butter sheets, sketching out each and every, drainage pattern of how actually water would flow, mapping all the contours. It was indeed a very interesting semester to understand water and water systems. Hananil sir, coming to you, you also have been a part of the studio as a faculty. And now as a coordinator of the competition. Would you like to talk about your experience of transitioning into this as a professional within the hardcore environment?
Okay, first of all, I would like to say kudos to your batch, because your batch was the one who introduced me water a lot towards it, because I was a person who was not an urban designer, not a person who wants to go for urban design projects in every college, when I was teaching. But I've already handled urban design project, but this was a different challenge when I encountered, right? So because I was brought up in a city called Coimbatore in Tamil Nadu, where from the small age, I used to see projects from an NGO called as Sirutuli. So they used to work on a different water-based competitions, water-based, like how they can go for ground recharge, okay, ecological restorations, all these things I used to see. But I never had an exposure toward like what they're trying to do and right. But when I was introduced to this studio, I had a different idea of like, okay, urban design means for me, it is more about like buildings. But when I came to water, like it changed my whole perception about it because back in my college days where I had been part of it, I mean, as a student, when I was working on urban design, we worked on a project called as an urban conservation on historical aspect. So at that time, I could understand basic city layers like how history, culture, all those things plays an important. But when this blues and greens was introduced at the studio, and when I was being as a faculty there, it made a lot of essence like how water becomes an important element in how a city mapping, how our city needs to be there, right? So the ecosystem, the network of the city, how it has to be there, right? So through this studio, my understanding of water and ecology became much more deeper, right? Because I'm a person who has a water phobia. So from my childhood, and still a bit, I have a water phobia a bit. So, but this kind of exposure towards me maybe brought a bit out of it, but not completely fully. But still, I have that phobia, right? So, a little bit more deeper knowledge I could get. And this studio, when we were handling it, it encouraged us to study the whole Mysore, right, with the students, where we used to go on field visits. And not only with the students, before when we had the pilot survey, we used to go and work on the roam around the city, as Champa ma'am was pointing out in cycle, four-wheeler, two, walking. There's no mode of transportation which we had taken. We had walked around to study how the lakes, how the drainage systems were being developed in the Mysore city, how it was and how it has changed completely, right? Because Mysore as a city, as a complex ecological systems were there, like drainage districts, the streams, as Faizan was pointing out, how the Mysore city is a kind of a ridge, right? How that ridge helps the water to flow completely. So the focus as a faculty in the studio was on understanding how the blue networks and the green networks function together to support the urban life, okay, and also the regulate the microclimate which was there and manage the storm water, enhance the biodiversity, and improve the environmental resilience. So this was our major focus where we started on a project, this studio. And the most valuable lessons from the studio was how, in terms thinking in terms of like watersheds, drainage systems, isolated sites, because many of the areas where how the drainage system, which was there once upon a time, was eradicated now because due to the development, the whole drainage system is being neglected, or the water base is being neglected, because of which we have a lot of urban issues being brought later. So we had as a faculty, as a studio, we mapped it completely, right? As ma'am was telling out, the GIS was very important for us, where we did the analysis, right? The stakeholder interactions, where the students, the faculties interacted with all the people there coming from different regions, different backgrounds, where we had explained them, this is what we are trying to do in this project. This is what we are trying to bring out as an awareness towards the city of the Mysore public people, right? And how the catchment areas function. So through this studio, we were able to, as a faculty, myself and to students, we were able to inform like how the importance of catchment area is also important, because we develop many buildings in those kind of areas. As an architect, as urban designers, we tend to do that, but we tend to forget that because of that, what we're trying to do, it's going to affect the network system. Because when the blue network system gets affected, it's going to affect the back again to the urban cycle. So it is a kind of a cycle which needs to be sorted out. So this was an initial step which in my professional life or in my professional career, which was a step taken where we were able to work on this particular studio, right? And as Faizan asked the question, like how this transition happened from this to the competition, right? Being that as a base, the Waters Urban Blues and Green Studio was a base from which we have taken one particular stretch, which was the Purya Nala, and which was already being developed, where I was again being part of that particular competition, because being in the part of the studio helped me also to be in part of the studio, right? Working on this was eye-opening for me, right? What appears today as a neglected urban brain, which is completely, is part of a larger hydrological and historical network completely, Like the competition would have been ended, but still that is going on in me completely, because still we work on that kind of thing. Okay, what shall be the way forward towards it? What are we going to look towards it? How we can rectify it? Because I stay in a place in Mysore which is nearby to this canal. So daily when I travel, I used to see this kind of network which is completely neglected, and how few further urban developments are being brought there. So every day when I cross that area, a question pops into me like, what am I doing? Am I responsible for this kind of this thing? What I can do? So this competition and this Blue Green Studio has helped me completely and changed my perspectives in a professional way, how I need to look at a water. Right? As I said, no, I used to see all the projects done by this NGO called Sirutuli. So now I'm able to understand, okay, this is what they were trying to do, and this is what they are doing it. So it has been an eye-opener for me completely. And this experience has helped me to understand the significance of work I had observed during my childhood, right? So that maybe has helped me a lot to shape around what I'm trying to do here now, right? Transiting from a faculty member to a coordinator was a natural progression might be there, but it involved in mentoring students, right, in a studio, whereas guiding them in learning processes. But as a coordinator, my role has expanded, because as I'm facilitating the collaboration between the students, faculty, professional, experts, institutions, and everything is there. So it is like the scope of work has increased for me, how I need to look at the water. And when the stance was given that I need to talk in the water of Wednesday for water, it again opened for me, right? Something is leading towards me water. So what I need to do, right? So looking back, what makes this journey meaningful is that transformation in its own perspective, which has happened without no one being telling that you do this, it has automatically gradually scaled, right? From someone who fear the water, right? Who only observe the restoration projects from a distance, I used to see that. But now being part of that process completely, right? The studies, the reimagining the water systems, all these things is something great which I cherish it completely. So whenever being in the college, whenever I enter one particular studio, one particular room, I remember the works, what the blues and greens, how the Faizan's batch has done it. So because it was one big multi-purpose hall and auditorium where we had been working on it completely. So till date, even today morning when I entered the room, I was recollecting the work what they have done. So that has created a greater impact for me, a greater learning, which has helped me to change, as I said, and has influenced the way I now approach architecture has changed, the way I now approach urban design and the education. This Blue Green project, Urban Studio, and the Pune Nala competition has helped me towards it. I hope I have answered both your questions, Faisal.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, sir. That is indeed a journey for you. So like Hananil sir pointed out on a small part of the whole aspect of Mysore district that we are working on, that was Purnia Nala that you mentioned. So Purnia Nala is basically, back in the days, was one of the most important lifelines for the city of Mysore, because it connected, it was a canal which brought in water, like I said initially, to one of the most important lakes, which is Kukarali Lake. But the lake system and the tank system of Mysore was in such a way that one lake would overflow, and the overflow of one lake would basically fill up other lakes, because Mysore is again a ridge, and water flows down. While flowing down, it fills in other water bodies. So in general, all of it would fill up. And being at the ridge, mostly close to the ridge, that was one more interesting part of the lake. So how we came up to this competition is basically the connection between. So for this as well, the canal was connected. So water was coming in naturally using that canal system. But today, the canal system might not be at the prime how it used to be back in time. So now it has certain parts of it which have disappeared from the map. So the catchment and the water coming into Kukarali Lake has reduced drastically. So this was the starting point for us. Like I said initially, this was the lake that I was talking about in the introduction, where I walked into the lake. I never knew that it was not a natural lake, but a man-made lake. But today, when you go there, it is completely taken over by nature. Every single part of it is completely natural, and nobody can tell you that it's not a natural water body. But the doubt is, or what lies in the future for the lake, is something that we all think about, right? So that is something where water, if it's not flowing into the lake, eventually it's gonna go right? So that is a concern that is always there. So before we move further on to the technical aspects, I would like Champa ma'am again to answer a very interesting question. Ma'am, you mentioned that you were a part of a lot of stakeholder meetings, general public meetings. You had a lot of kiosks and all those happening. We also had as an urban design studio where we had open exhibition and all those kind of things. So what was your experience like having to deal with all of us students, my batchmates, and then stakeholders, general public? Can you shed some light on that?
Yeah, surely, yes. First and foremost, it was a journey, as I mentioned. Now, how much can students absorb is one thing, but then hoping our expectations will be met in terms of knowledge and learning is another thing. But I think that is where everything fitted in very well, the journey, and it was a very smooth sail. I mean, I don't know what happened behind my back, at least. I mean, sometime, yes, I got Galias also, but sometime they're like, okay, yes. I'm a taskmaster. I mean, PVK sir will say, don't worry, Champa, I was there before you. Okay. And, but I think that was the beauty of it, the whole journey. And, I would also like to talk about Water Forum. Like, I think we've spoken enough of what we did and things like that. Now, when we had started working on this particular studio of Blue Green, now parallelly, the Water Forum Mysuru also was in its formation, and many of us, we as professionals and some students as interns, sort of a core team started sort of, what do you say, flourishing, I could say it. Okay, so now that became another journey. And when we started looking at if we are forming Water Forum Mysuru, what is it that we are trying to look at? So one is the lakes of Mysuru and things like that, where we as Mysore School of Architecture did extra mile and then looked at the natural drainage system of Mysuru. So now that is where the Purnaya Nalai, what you mentioned, came into the picture. So now we had decided that we will work on that, because imagine a 25-kilometer long, green spine, getting introduced back into Mysore. And we are talking about, or rather in the era of building climate resilient cities. I think that is where it fitted in very well. And when all the other members of Water Forum Mysuru also saw this extensive work what we had done, it became like, yes, we can do it. It can become reality. That is, I think, was the revelation for everybody from top to bottom. And that is what I would like to. So now when we formed this Water Forum, and Purnaya Canal was what was taken up, so we looked into all layers of information, or rather started hydrological investigation, then urbanization study, because how is it affecting, then biodiversity. It's still quite rich in terms of its biodiversity, socio-economic inquiries, the list goes on and on like this. So these were the things we started looking into it. Now, being the core member as well as being in the academic and things like that, so it was very natural, since I'm also heading Mysore School of Architecture. So then, it came together. That symbiosis happened very naturally. And then when we started, each member started taking the responsibility in terms of, because it's a long journey. For almost 2 years, we've been working on Purnaya Canal, and we've done extensive scientific or technical study, whatever we call it. So then it became very natural for us to take on the competition as one of the format. Because when we are introducing Purnaya Nale to the general public, to the Mysoreans, not many are aware. I think that this has come into the discussion of Mysuru only for the last 8 to 10 years. And UN Ravi Kumar sir is the person who sort of introduced, and he is the key person of Water Forum Mysore. And he's been in that water system and lakes of Mysore for the last 30-35 years. So he's more like a mentor to all of us. So then when we were, even through many outreach programs, we started making the Purnaya Nale awareness to the general public in so many different formats. It could be calendar making, it could be doing a nature journaling, or it could be the Nala walks and things like that. So these were all, we were doing it for the common man or the citizens of Mysuru. But at the same time, the professionals, as well as to the students also, the information needs to be known. At the same time, we also need to understand different perspectives. So that is where Mysore School of Architecture took competition as the most important thing. And I think the journey again has been very smooth, thanks to all my coordinators and the technical team, that is Hananil, as he mentioned, and another person is Hemant. And Faizan also is part of it, but due to his busy schedule, he was there on and off, on and off. But even this particular competition process, even preparing the brief and the format in which we were going to introduce, because we looked at that entire 25 kilometer, we segmented this as rural area, the peri, and then the urban area. So the way the landscape is changing, which we had already started looking at it, but once we started looking into it, again we visited. And I also would like to tell, we also conducted treasure hunt for the same. That was in another format. The youngsters and things like that got to know about Purnaya Canal. The credit goes to my son, Ariman. I think he sat and wrote down the clues, which none of us could actually solve it. But he was sitting in the US, but I had to take him through video clippings and things like that. So, very happy with that, the way. And it was like a war room. I need to really thank, Mansi, I'm telling, reaching out these kind of, what would you say, something which our city needed to the general public in all formats was very, very important. Now, when I say war room, there was a situation where I did not have many volunteers. In the next 10 minutes, the treasure hunt had to start. There was 150 plus people waiting for their first set of clues, and the inauguration had started. And that is where our boys came into picture. And that is Faizan, then Kaushik, another faculty, and Hananil. They really took on the challenge and they made it into a very smooth sailing. That was another thing I need to mention. So similarly, when we took up this particular competition at professional, and we wanted this to be a collab activity. That means people from different fields form a team and work on it. That's what one. But it did not happen. But we got good set of entries from the professional side as well as from the student side, and preparing the brief to the schedule to everything else has been a teamwork. So the credit goes to the entire team. That is what I would like to stress upon. Together we can do anything. And lots of webinars we did, the expert talks where Mansi was sort of, I got reintroduced to Manasi, though Deepika had sort of got us connected. So thanks to Pragnya also for that. So the journey, so many expert talks, and we also conducted workshop for all the participants, though every participant could not make it because they were all from all over India they had taken part. So about 40 to 50 people came, and we conducted an exhibition presentation, and we took them through the Nala walk, showing them the segments which we had introduced as part of the competition. And there was a dialogue or deliberation at the end of it. I think that sort of helped them to move take it forward also. So we had good submission and the jury went off very well. We had another set of jurors who came in. And I also would like to thank all our, one is organizers, that is Mysore School of Architecture, Water Forum Mysuru and Aranya Outreach. And this was supported by Bengaluru Sustainability Forum. And also when I approach, because this was another thing that's very important, the knowledge partners. When I did approach quite a few, but then IUDI Karnataka chapter was the first one to say yes, without even thinking twice about it. The day I sent the mail, the next day I had got a positive reply. I mean, one is, yeah, many of them are known to me. It could be through IUDI or over the years, the rapport which we have built up being in the academia and the profession. And similarly, ISOLA came on board. Then Council of Architecture, when they readily accepted it, and Mysore School of Design, who are our co-partners at our campus, they came readily. So it has been a journey. And I think that is where, if Srikanth has joined, I would like to ask him,
Yes. Yes, Champa Srikanth has joined, but let me just do the formal invite
yes,
and
please.
introduction
Yes,
to him,
please.
and then we can take him on board and maybe
Yes.
also give a little hint to Hemant and Pragna that they
Yes.
can also chip in later on with their views. And
Yes.
of course, we will have the final word today from PVK. So
Yes.
I am very keen that he gives us some insights because I remember him every now and then, 30 years already, when I did my own lake project, and most of us here. So welcome to our fourth speaker of the day, architect Srikanth KS, who is an urban designer, academician and researcher based in Mysuru with over 12 years of experience in professional practice, teaching and research. An alumnus of RV College of Architecture, he is also there mentoring future architects and urban designers since 2015. His interests encompass resilient cities, water sensitive urbanism, temple architecture, indigenous construction techniques, urban form and climate, biomimicry, sustainable urban development. As principal architects of Kriya Kalp Design Consultants, he is involved in many architectural design, urban design consultancy, NATA coaching, research and academic activities. He also serves as secretary of the Institute of Urban Designers India and has contributed to national academic discourses through seminars, publications, and professional collaborations. I'll put the longer CV in the chat box. Welcome, Srikanth, and looking forward to how IUDI got on board into Mysuru Forum and probably a Water Forum. And probably, Champa, you and Srikanth now can take this conversation further in a way how our pedagogical journey is transformed into a societal or scientific journey where other associations and other stakeholders got into it. And should this be seen as a future way of education in urban design, where we are dealing with complex ecosystems like water or land-based systems, and also, of course, the social ecological system around it. Where is the future lying with this kind of approach to solving urban issues or actually protecting or managing urban matters in our hands? What is the role of institutions? What are the role of association? I'm looking forward to this conversation between both of you, and you can take it over from here, Champa. And thanks a lot, Faizan. We will come back to all these participants here. You are very welcome to pose your questions or comments in the chat box and jump in the conversation whenever you feel like. You have both the options, using your digital hand or putting your comments and questions in the chat box. Over to you, Champa.
Yeah. Srikanth, good evening. Yeah. Thank you, Mansi. And I think I have two things to ask you. One, could you just take us through what does IUDI stand for? I mean, it will be very difficult for you to answer when PVK is here, but still, I'm sure from you as a youngster, when you joined in, and then, how has it helped so that even others know what does that mean and the distant professional difference it has brought in to the urban planning and design landscape in India. That is one, please, Idu. Another one, you were as I mentioned, IUDI Karnataka chapter was the first one to accept my invitation as a knowledge partner. So now I know it's not that it was one person's decision, it was the entire team's decision or the EC decision. So how did you all go about it? Could you please unmute? Yes.
Yeah, my pranams to everyone, all the participants, all the organizers, and Mansi Madam, Champa Madam, DVK, Rameshwar sir. Yeah, IUDI, to talk about IUDI, I might not be, such a person who has contributed so many things to urban design, but I would definitely attempt to answer that question. Institute of Urban Designers, India, is an vision of some peers, both from CEPT and School of Planning and Architecture, Delhi, and most of the members are also students of these leading urban designers who are in the academia and the practice. So the main intention is to create a community which helps in the progression of the pedagogy and the practice, and also make people understand this relatively, it's not new, but people, since it is termed as urban design, many people have questions about what is urban and which is where does urban design happen, or how should it intervene into the city's development through policy or through uh, design on various interdisciplinary extended ideas. So IUDI has three chapters: IUDI Delhi, IUDI Mumbai, and IUDI Karnataka. And we also have centers all across India. Sorry, the third chapter was Kerala, IUDI Delhi, IUDI Karnataka, and IUDI Kerala. The others, we have a center in Hyderabad, we have a center in Odisha, so others, Kolkata, we have, many centers. And IUDI is a organization which helps support urban designers, and also it's an advisory body, we may call it as an advisory body, which helps the progression of the academia and practice. So it also conducts regular platform at the national level for discussing the ideas of the young urban designers who represent their thesis at the final year as a thesis seminar, and regular NatCons are conducted. Apart from these, the chapters themselves and the centers all across India actively participate in engaging themselves in addressing the challenges of the cities uh, day in and day out. And through these efforts, we have seen a lot of impact. One of which I want to quote is this development of urban design cells recently, which has happened in the Bangalore Corporation, the Greater Bangalore Area Corporation. 5 urban design cells have been formulated, and the need of an urban designer for designing the cities or public realm is a core principle which is addressed, and as a result, we can see some of the activities which have taken shape and also succeeded. So when we came across this request of joining all the knowledge partners and the organization MSA itself as a knowledge partner, we were very happy. The proposal was sent and shared with the chairperson, T.N. Trivikram, and it was discussed amongst ourselves, and also the team, which includes T.N. Trivikram, Prasanna Rao sir, Prakruti, myself. Uh, we are always backed up with the previous office bearers, and we have in the advisory group all the people who have shaped this Karnataka chapter and also have contributed significantly to the at the national level with respect to discussions and debates on urban design and all the events that take place. So water in every situation has been a resource, uh, and it is more than a uh, resource itself. It is integrated into the public life. Some identity of places start from the the water body itself. For example, I am sorry, I've joined late. Today, the students had documented a village settlement which is called Kere Tondanur, which has a river. The name is a Tamil origin, Tondan. So it has a story which is a real story where a Shaiva king had a daughter who had mental instability. During this time, the Ramanujacharya had come and settled in that region. But the king had some inhibition because he was a Shaiva to go near this, even after people suggesting him to consult the Ramanujacharya. So when that finally happened, Ramanujacharya asked the child to take a dip in the water bottle, stating that it will heal her. So water is more than a resource. All the healing capabilities on this planet is because of water. I can say that, and there are many Vedic texts also to prove that. So this relationship with water, rather than looking at it as extracting it for our benefits or economic um, leapfrog changes, we have to be very careful and sensitive in and then this title itself, resource rethinking urban water future, which actually steered all of us, so that we can also collaborate, and we are grateful for that, that you have approached us as a knowledge partner. And it's a thoughtful initiative centered around this idea of water as a more than a resource. And uh, we approached the center. We actually had more speakers listed out, but because of the timeline, we gave priority to those who came in first as suggestions from different people. And we also looked at an idea where we can, invite people who are not urban design, but who have done some contribution and have some knowledge which can be shared with the larger audience. So we had a session by Dr. J.N. Prasad. We had a session by Vikram Pawar, and the uh, host of today's program, Mansi Bhargava also. So Jasmine, who is Jasmine Saluja, who is the secretary at the national level, also suggested a few speakers. A few speakers were suggested from the core team. Then we finalized and we have given the list of speakers to the principal Champa madam, and we hope this kind of collaboration continues. And we also had multiple conversations with regard to selection of the jury panel member, and we extend our wholehearted gratitude to all the organizers, and then I would personally like to extend the my gratitude to all the members of the current office bearers, previous office bearers of all chapters, and Karnataka chapter also. So because their unwavering support has helped us always and guided us, and the enthusiasm that we carried is just a reflection of their commitment to shape something that will help the city as an organization, which is IUDI. So Thank you, Champa ma'am. If there is any other
Yeah.
question,
Oh, that was good. So much information you gave. Yes, I would like to thank Trivikram also. So, all of these youngsters, either we have taught them or they've been colleagues or they've become good friends and things like that. So, the networking really helps. Oh, and Shrikant, just to ask, now you also teach, I mean, you have a master's in urban design at your college, and you are teaching students, many students that you are conducting. So now do you think this water could become part of, not as an afterthought studio topic, rather embedded into it? So, because when I took it at BArch level itself, there were a lot of questions. Oh, this is not in the syllabus. Do you think the jury, when they come, they will accept it or they will evaluate it? I said, I don't really look at it. I think it's the knowledge that we are bringing in. And this is our, what do you call it, the traditional knowledge which we have forgotten long back. I think if we need to survive as human beings, bringing them back, I know it is not possible in the same format, but we need to respect it and we need to make it a part of the system or the development or the planning and things like that. So that is where, so what do you feel about it? And have you
yeah,
tried is another thing.
yeah. That's a very important question. For this answering to answer this question, I would like to just give an instance of existing traditional temple architecture where this is from Vijayanagara, where there is a Nritya Mandapam, where the progression of the rain drop is so very well engineered that it becomes a screen, actual screen. And then how if we follow the journey of that water drop from the roof of the temple, through all the pillars, and then going to the Adhisthana and then collected in a place. So the detail that we try to do for various architectural interventions, first thing that we have to address is the terrain, and how we respect the movements that there is already existing on the site, whether it is a movement of a bird or a movement of an ant. So then before all of this, there is movement of water through stormwater drains and all of that. I still remember during my training, we were doing a project where Rameshwar sir had given a formula for calculating the watershed within by stipulating catchment areas in a large parcel, account for how much stormwater is coming in each parcel, and trying to address that in a way whether it can become an aesthetic you know um, experience, or or it is treated as a storage and it can be utilized for other purposes on site. Currently, my observation in most of the studios, the students want to address this idea, but they are not equipped with in some of the studios, or they do not get any sufficient time, or they vaguely consider the site as moderately flat or flat. So this terrain of a site is very pivotal and comes first as a thing that has to be addressed in design. That is when we can do some justice to water conservation in all designs, rather than considering the terrain as flat. So, because we have very good examples all across the country where people have designed around storage of water spaces, whether it is a Pushkarani or a Kalyani or a step well, Adlajni Vav, Rani Ki Vav. So, yeah, I hope I answered the question. So I had taken a workshop also as a, in a seventh semester level, where we were doing the slope analysis of a site, where we're trying to understand the slope analysis, the ridge lines, the valley lines, and the design constraint was they do not disturb this existing network. The project was an institutional campus. So if such sensitiveness can be, triggered at the studio level, the student will definitely, keep that in mind and apply in a real-time project, or at least try to create that awareness, the importance of the existing movement patterns, how the water can be collected on a large land parcel. Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shrikant.
Thanks.
Oh, sorry. Yes,
No,
I
go
just
ahead, Champa. Yeah, because
yes.
your video is off, so I wasn't sure if you are.
No, I'm very much just glued to my this thing. Okay. Yes, I would like to introduce Hemant Kumar, one of our faculty who has been the coordinator. So when I decided to take up the responsibility of conducting the competition, was very natural. One was Hananil because he's been part of Blue Green Studio and he's been there. So then Faizan because was student of Blue Green Studio and also Water Forum intern. So then the other natural member which came to my mind who's youngster and then forthcoming all the time was Hemant Kumar. So Hemant, my one simple question to you. I know it was Tapco-fied on you. That means it was just entrusted onto you. I never asked you, would you like to be part of it or anything like that? But you've done wonderful job in coordinating this entire journey of everything. We have visited again once we chose this thing to all the sects and things like that to take new video shoots and then photos to be included and things like that. So he's been part of every discussion, every small change and things like that. So Hemant, your experience of the entire process.
Good evening, all. So basically, it was very enriching experience for me, both professionally and personally. So I have always seen water bodies only in the drawings, reports, and everything, but never been in on ground, seeing how important a water body is for a city. I've never I have never experienced that. So through this process, I gained very much deeper understanding of how a water system actually works and how it is very important for the ecology, how it is connected to the ecology, heritage, culture, biodiversity, and urban development. So, and the most valuable learning experience in the whole journey was on ground Nala walks, taking different pictures and different insights from experts like Ravi sir, Champa ma'am, and so many people who are involved in Water Forum. It was very great learning how a watershed actually is and how their ecological network and their native flora and fauna. It was very great learning, and we also got the historical significance of the canal, how it was formed, and how important it was for Mysore, and how important it is for Mysore right now. So it was a great learning, and through expert talk series, which we did for the competition, it was a very nice learning right from the ecology, urban planning. Then we had talks about biodiversity, heritage, and nature-based solution, and so on. So these sessions actually highlighted how complex urban water challenges are, and how multidisciplinary thinking could help the urban planning and development. So it was very the biggest takeaway which I could take from this journey is water is not just an environmental issue. So it influences public health, culture, heritage, biodiversity, community, urban planning, and entire community life is based on water bodies, and water is a main key element which is actually more important for the community. And as an architect and educator now, so this experience has reinforced my belief that meaningful design begins with understanding the context. So basically, context is very important, and engaging with people, which is very more important. That I understood here, and it was a direct learning from the landscape actually. We went to different landscapes, like let it be Madhaveli Kare, which is more greeny, and when we come towards Kukreli Kare, we could see the urban development happening. Now in the Bohari side also we could see a lot of urban development slowly happening, and I wish that shouldn't be the case of like how Vijayanagar's third state it has been. I could tell it has been encroached over the canal due to urban development. I wish it at least this Madagali Kare to that Bohari state would stay in the same way and get enriched through different interventions. So the role of design can play in shaping more resilient and environmentally responsible cities. This is what I understood from this as a whole. And that's it. And I would like to express my sincere gratitude to Dr. Champa Hedges for giving me the opportunity to be part of this initiative. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Hemant. I just want to inform everybody we have reached a stage where not about the competition, but in terms of the practical thing, we have started giving out our short report, which Water Forum Mysore and all of us together at Mysore School of Architecture, we have prepared. So we have started representing ourselves to all the officials, giving a request letter to see to it that this particular the Purnaya Canal, what we are looking at it, it's about 25 kilometers. So once we do the spine, really biodiversity, whatever, almost 80 plus acres of land can be developed. And we are not looking at it as an urban park, rather we are looking at it as a biodiversity stretch or the spine to Mysore, and as a community space and as rainwater harvesting and water percolation and things like that. So this is another journey we have started. So hope we will reach that. Coming to Pragna, yes. So Pragna, we got introduced to her through Urban Sketches. In one of the Nala walk, we introduced that format also. So the people who can sketch came in, then we met her in person. She came for the Nala walk and she was also doing a master's and thesis on Mysore waters and Purnaya Canal. So very enterprising, young, quite interesting person to know, and she has actually got back saying that how can I involve myself. We still are yet to get back to her on that, and she was in the professional category. She also she and her teammate, they got special mention by the jury. And so Pragna, over to you. Could you just explain or share your thoughts on it, please? Pragna, are you there?
Hello. Yes, Champa ma'am. It was so wonderful. Thank you everyone for this wonderful session. I am very enthusiastic to see and also personally learnt a lot today's session on the pedagogical and prior to what happened to the competition in the studios, for example. So I just wanted to highlight that Water Forum Mysore and its core members have been nothing but wonderful and supportive through my, definitely personal master thesis journey as well, but also for me as a reintroduction to my own city and its water systems. So, while the panel is actively talking about the pedagogical aspects with water, for example, the Bachelor's Urban Studio, which also Champa ma'am had also shared her thoughts in one of our meetings as well. And today, how I learned about it a lot, so like all of these can how cumulatively look at the impact, for example, like the competitions or even the water walks or even the expert talks, which was there, and these urban design studios, be it in bachelor and master level. So all of these methods kind of like enrich the current and historic water knowledge in a interdisciplinary way. So, which is a dire necessity, I think, which I would have, as a student, wanted to definitely experience, and it can bring so many perspectives and discussions together. So, especially the youth, I must say, and kind of empower them to thoughtfully, let's say, take it on in their respective professions, irrespective of design or research or practice. So just to conclude it, I'm really glad for the existence of this Jeevajala Jeevanadi initiative, and so many of us caring about water in general. So very much looking forward to keep engaging and where this approach takes us with climate responsive and resilient cities and also communities for our Mysore, our home. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, PVK sir has left. This Saturday and Sunday, we have organized an exhibition at Kukrahalli. All the studies that we have done so far are going to be exhibited. Along with that, we are also conducting painting competition and bird watching and tree watching. So we are expecting this weekend it will be open only during walking hours in the morning and in the evening. So we are expecting about 1,000+ people to be looking at the work that we have done. Though there are n number of people coming for walk from Mysore or as tourists or anything like that, they still do not know where did the fresh water to Kukrahalli came from. So this particular weekend is going to be challenging for us, but at the same time, so many people are going to be educated and be aware of, the importance of safeguarding the natural drainage system, the lakes and things like that. So that's another, I think the end note is from my side. Mansi.
Yeah, thank you so much, Champa, for this wonderful session. All of you, Faizan, Haninil, Shrikant, and Hemant and Pragna, adding to it. We unfortunately missed having to hear from PVK Rameshwar, but I'm sure he must be proud and he must be feeling all his next generations are speaking about water, urban ecology, and other stuff. He had to leave at 6 o'clock, and I really wish that he will do the closing of the session today. Nevertheless, I am in touch with him to find out his reflections and get further. But now, because all of you have reflected upon from studio to competition to bringing it out to the society, planning a change, how we look at urban scape and water and landscape, for that matter. I'm sure this reflection was very helpful for you to see how it can be done, and also why we invited you at Wednesdays for Water to do this reflection is to highlight how education can go to the next level and really take it with citizens' engagement. It is also an opportunity for us to see how associations like IUDI can be really useful knowledge partners to take this up and take up such issues where urban design profession gets acknowledged as an important profession, which is still a challenge in the country. But B, what important role urban design plays in bringing the urban aspects into, weaving them together into one discourse. And I don't think there are many professions which can bring this, together other than urban design for that matter. Maybe I am biased, Champa is biased, all of us here are biased who have done urban design background. And it is okay to be biased as long as we have real components, true components to help us do things. And importantly, I will see a quote which I always love to say here as water conversations are important for water conservation. Other aspect for me is close to my heart is water connects. We barely see that education goes out and connects to the society and policy. We barely see it goes out to the associations. We barely see students coming back to their student work and taking it up as a professional challenge, as well as commitment towards society. So these are some of the important things we really need to take away from seeing beyond pedagogy and really seeing how water education can have a very different shape. Although it is already a kind of a alarm and a highlight from this session that we need to have water education in architecture, planning and urban design, all these three important courses. And we had a good discussion with Champa and Ravi Kumar sir in the last session when they were with us, especially focusing on Mysore. And today the focus was on education, the whole process. And I think that it gives us an opportunity because education series in Wednesdays for Water has been really looking at different ways how people are trying to educate each other about water matters when formal education on water is missing in the country. It's not only architecture, planning and design where water education is missing. I can tell you, being in the field specifically in water for 30 years now, we have not even water institutes in double digit in this country. So given that situation, it becomes extremely important, and it is dear to my heart to really explore through education series how people are really trying to find a way to teach about water, keeping their larger, as a university education outline or whatever it is. With this, I would also like to announce our next week's session. We are going very slow and steady in this season, to be honest, in season 8. And I would like to invite you to join Friday Waters on July 3rd at 5 p.m. IST for Water Talkies conversation on Jalamutra, which is watermark, and it looks at the waterways of Kerala. And we will have the filmmaker P. Ajit Kumar speaking to us, making about the film and much more. As we said, water conversation is not limited to scientific or societal conversations. It can go to arts, films, many other ways. And I'm coming to you, Shrikant. I see your hand raised. I just wanted to make this announcement before closure. Over to you, Shrikant. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. I just wanted to add, this statement that I'm thinking about now. Net worth of a city is the ecological network. And then we do constant audits, and indices are there for various urban parameters. So while we were discussing the team with Champa ma'am and Paisan and Hanani, we were talking about ecological health index, so which
Yes.
is not prevalent as such, which is a very important thing, that we look at the health of the ecology through consistent reports, that you assess it regularly. You do a census for anthropology, knowing the people, their economic status, their there are so many things, metadata connected to this population census. So similarly, why I mean, can we not do an ecological health index where we have regular
Absolutely.
health audits of natural water bodies, man-made water bodies? We can add the forests. We can add, there are some studies which are happening at different places, like the forest department does. There are some reports on lakes also. Some of the lakes, there are reports. So and we were also talking about how this entire event can be leveraged to the next level. Like we talk about some integration of tech, where engineering students also try to create some sensors which can locate certain check water quality, or locate certain waste dumping. If it is happening, it gives a alarm. I'm just thinking, and then adopt a portion of a canal. Adopt a tree program has already started nationwide. So many people are trying to adopt trees. So these are some of the thoughts I just wanted to share. Thank you.
Just
Thank
to
you so much.
conclude, okay, sorry,
Yeah.
Mansi. Just to
Go ahead.
take from what Shrikant was telling, yeah, we've been part of conducting tree audit of Mysore. All the street side trees have been audited. It comes to about 1.2 lakhs and things like that. This is only the streets. Okay, the next this thing will be the parks and the bigger campus and things like that. So, but it's a long way to go and things like that. Yeah, thanks for
Absolutely.
talking about it. Yes,
Absolutely.
and one more thing you mentioned now. water as a pedagogy, or how do we this thing? I think sometimes it is the personal experiences also which sort of introduce or certain dreams of your, which, maybe it didn't happen on that time. You keep remembering that over the years or something like that. I think this is where all of us start enjoying things. Because when I
Yes.
used to cycle to college from home, my mom used to ask, is it safe to do it? I said, if I come back home, I would. If I don't come back. That led us to Urban Mobility Studio. When we looked into it, then we looked into NMT as part of it. And this particular UD studio was on food vendors alone. We looked at the vendors, but then we decided, no, food vendors it's going to be. And we have been presenting our students to the officials, to the what do you call it? The Mysuru Grahakara Parishad, that would be the citizen forum. So lots of journalists have been calling because this has become a menace. But we are telling no, they need to leave, we need to leave. So then
Yes.
there is a in-between path that we can decide. So we can help you to make it happen. These are the thoughts. I think that every day thing, what we keep observing, what starts hitting your head, I think that's what will sort of keeps us energized and look for something new or challenging. Yes.
Absolutely.
And
Actually,
also, thank you so much. You've been calling us so often, and you have been doing wonderful today afternoon when actually we are into publication of this entire competition, which I think will be released at Mysuru Literature Festival, which is happening on the 4th and 5th in Mysore. Almost about 150 authors are coming from all over India. So that is one platform we thought will be very apt, because I am taking one session on environment, water, and citizen responsibility. So I'm moderating that session. I thought no more, better platform can be where we are going to be, launching our publication on this particular competition that we conducted. And thanks to you, and congratulations to you, and any help that you need in your, the journey of doing all these things, please let us know. We will be ready to help you.
thank you. Thank you, Shrikant, Champa, I do it again, and Hananil, Pragnab, Hemant, all of you, because this really sets a tone for our education series. And I must just tell you here that when you talked about Ecological Health Index, you may like to watch our session with Padma Bhushan, Dr. Anil Prakash Joshi, where he has actually been campaigning and advocating for gross environment product in place of gross development product, which are domestic product, which we actually use as a national indicator. So you really open up an option for another session. So Shrikant, you self-invited trouble for yourself. So let us plan a session on talking about it, looking at the green-blue health of the city, which is kindly indirect health of ourselves as well, the communities living in the city. Thanks all of you. Please take care. These conversations will keep flowing. We have been flowing for 5 years, and I do hope to flow for next 2 months at least, because we are getting full until September end. So I don't promise for long distances, but at least few weeks when we have our sessions completed. If you know someone who is keen to talk about water, who has worked on water, or who has worries about water, it's not only about having wisdom about water. We are very much here to listen. You will find one good student at W4W, at least, if not all, which is Mansi here, signing off from today, and take care.
Yeah. Thank you, Mansi.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye-bye. Take
Thank
care.
you. Thank
Bye.
you.